Music basics. This is what I teach everybody that is a private student, and I've refined this over the years. So to start with, the major scale builds everything that I use. So the major scale in a guitar-friendly key would be G major. And the G major scale is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then it repeats. So I end on G and I start on G. That's called an octave. So for the basics of a chord, you start with the root of the key. It's G. Then it's B is going to be the third as the step. G, A, B. So B is the third step away from G. 1, 2, 3. 3 steps. Now, 3 steps away from B is D. So we're stacking thirds. G, B, D, or the root and the third and the fifth steps. So you can also think of this as 1, 3, 5. 1 is the root, 3 is 3 steps away from 1, and 5 is 5 steps away from 1. So you're stacking thirds. A note, and then 3 steps away, and then 3 steps away. So the chords that relate with G major are G, and then this concept of stacking thirds continues in the key of G major. So the next note in G major is the 2, and that is A. So 3 steps away from A with those notes that we already outlined is C, and E is 3 steps away from C. And A, C, and E is a minor chord that is A minor. Now, in the G major scale, we stacked thirds and made a G chord, and then we stacked thirds and made an A minor chord. Now we're going to stack thirds and make a B minor chord. Then we're going to go and stack thirds from this root. That is C, E, G. That is a C chord. Then we're going to go to the D in our G major scale and stack thirds, and that's D, F sharp, and A. Now that looks weird. You might know that chord easier if I do it this way. That is the D chord. And then I go to the 6th note of the scale, which is E. And then I stack thirds from that in the scale. There's G, and there's B. So that is E, G, and B. That is a minor chord. That is E minor. And E minor is a relative minor of G major. So that is always a rule. In a major key, the 6th step of the scale is the relative minor key with no accidental notes. So that E minor you might recognize as this. And then now the 7th degree. Now we're going to stack thirds from there. There's A, and there is C, and that is an F diminished. we'll spend more time on the diminished because that winds up coming into play as a different type of sound and function. So just to recap, the major scale is root, whole step away, whole step away, half step, whole step away, whole step away, whole step away, half step, whole, half, whole, half. If I do it this way, 3 notes per string, it may visibly make more sense. That's root, whole step, then half. B to C is a half step. Now we're going to do 2 more whole steps. Whole, and then F sharp is another whole step. And then it resolves to G. That's a half step. Root, whole, half, whole, half. And we're back at G, the octave. Okay, now to visibly see a chord instead of hearing all the notes at once, you may have heard of the term arpeggio. Arpeggio is basically playing every note in a chord as a single note. So instead of hearing a G chord like this, G, B, D, G, D, G, instead of hearing that, you can hear this. That's an arpeggio. That's the G major arpeggio. Okay, so everything I just did, stacking thirds and making chords, can be also explained as arpeggios because those are the single notes of the chord, but each note as a building block. Now check out this pattern with my hand that I'm doing. Then I go to A in the root. The shape is different. Then I'm going to stay up on the top string. That shape is similar to the A shape. So I basically did an arpeggio of the G major scale and the chords that correspond, but I made arpeggios so you hear each individual note of the chord, and these are all 3 steps away from each other.